Hello. So welcome to the 7th, I believe, TAT meeting. We are still discussing the tensegrity assisted therapy course from Leonid and Mariana, Leonid Bloom and Mariana Barreto. And we are entering the chapter, I believe it's number 5, that's called the ultimate strategy. We have seen most of the theory behind their way of thinking therapy, and now we are going to what Leonid and Mariana say. It's the meat of the course, so the practical applications of and how to apply it. You want to start with something, Miguel, or Susan, or Chris, or anyone? You have any comments on what you on this chapter that you want to highlight, or shall I?
You should, as usual. Go on.
Okay.
Then take along.
So. Going through this chapter again and hearing it for I don't know which time again, I realized something that I have never thought about. So in this chapter, they start to talk about the main strategy and how to apply it, which is the uniform distribution. So it's all about dynamic behaviors, forces inside, and how to distribute the forces inside in the most uniform way. And I just realized that in my way of thinking, I was still, while I was trying to apply these to my practice in the reformer and in my movement practice, I was trying to distribute tensions, the increased tension in the body caused by the springs, or just distribute tension in myself by using mainly the outside of my body. And so I was focusing on my skin, on lengthening and getting or trying to have more surface in myself by spreading myself axially and to the sides. And by reading this title and the beginning, hearing the beginning of this chapter, I realized I was completely wrong, or my main idea was wrong. We need to distribute. The distribution of the load has to happen towards the inside of the body, and not only or mainly on the surface. Meaning that the collagen mesh and the mesh that we want to see and that we see in Gamberto's videos, the strolling under the skin video, all that mesh that keeps on being destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed and rebuilt and is undetermined and goes everywhere. That's the thing that provides super stability to the body. And that's the thing that allows tension in the body to be distributed, to be absorbed, to be distributed. Do you understand what I'm going to, or my line of thought?
I think so.
Okay.
Go on.
No, and of course, I crossed these with what I've heard in Toledo with during observation of Leonid working and his talks to us, and the way he finds those lines in the skin, the skin map, where he sees what's that called, the skin with the teeth that go inside in the, sorry,
Gli origamis,
the gears that go inside the body
or the wheels, yeah.
in the several lines of the skin map, mainly in the abdomen, where he mainly calls attention for them. So I understood that I was seeing the thing through the outside, through muscles. Of course, that was my way of thinking, and not through something else, which is not muscle, and goes inside, and it lives inside the body. So the tension, the extra tension, or the existing tension distributes inside, towards the inside, and not on the surface of myself. When I see the technique and the techniques applied in here by tensegrity assisted therapy, that's what is done. You load the body in a certain way with interfaces and so, and you're not trying to move the surface of the body. That would be shear. You're trying to create a uniform distribution of tension within a bulk of the torso, in this case. So it's the inside of the volume that is targeted. It's not the surface of the bulk of the volume. And I know I'm a little confused by about talking about this, but in movement terms, because I'm really used to see the surface of the body and to connect with lines of movement, I was seeing lines of movement, so surfaces, and not what's happening before the lines of movement happen. So the premuscular thing. I don't know. You're saying, Chris, that you think it's inside of the volume and the whole volume. Yeah. But my line of thought was not directed there. And when I see, for instance, some of the work done with the tensegrity name on it, like those cloths outside, of course there is dispersion inside, there is dispersion, but the focus, at least my visual focus and my perceived sensitive focus, is on the surface that is covering me. So maybe I'm being too naive in my appreciation, but that what calls my attention, it's the surface distributing and not the inside of the volume distributing. I don't know. This was, yeah.
I think it's a yes, and that you can, I mean, those cloths and the external cues, the cloths themselves, even if, I mean, I used to use my hands when I was teaching, even if you just not force, but gently place your hands, then the feedback, we ourselves and the people that we work with can learn to take that and feel the redistribution and use it as a cue to let the body redistribute the forces inside. And I believe it's a skill to actually be able to sense what's going on inside that we can access, and that, like you say, you've been focusing on the outside, and that's, yes, it's visible, and yet you have found that if you look back, there are going to be certain things that were really effective. So then if you ask yourself, okay, now I'm trying to bring together these two different concepts. What is an example of something where your mind was on the outside, or the interface itself that was successful? And then if you go into that same exploration again with a different question, and that question being, how is this then influencing the dynamics, the force distribution inside? You're going to open up a whole bunch of other realizations, experiences, inspiration.
Yes.
Because I believe that, and, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's my experience that if we're a movement, having a therapy that's successful, part of what we're doing as we shift paradigms doesn't mean we have to toss away what worked. It just means we have a different explanation for why it's working. So what happens then if I examine that same situation through a different lens? And my experience, then it gives me, I just go other places, and yet the technique itself might be the same, or it would look the same from the outside, perhaps.
Yes, so you're saying that the shapes are not what it's important, it's what you feel by doing the shapes or going through the shapes.
Which gets to the whole discussion we were having. I was re-listening to this morning. It's like I got home and I realized, oh, I should have been listening to the tensegrity assisted therapy course, but with Daniel Nicholson, talking about substance versus process. And I agree with what's been said here, and that is like the form, the shape itself is really a focus on this timestamp, and the practice is a process. So, and I saw you doing a handstand on Facebook.
Oh, you did?
And what I wanted to offer you around that is to, and this also ties into what we're doing, is to to start to use the fingertips and the toes, because if you can bring your mind there, you can distribute the forces more evenly, very powerfully throughout the whole system, just by, and that is a more outside in, but it's also an inside out, depending on where you put the mind. But my own experience doing handstands, and I don't do them, I don't practice them anymore, but I used to be able to just like step up and put my feet in lotus and, that sort of thing. And it was all the fingers, not, but I would be able to balance everything and move through everything through my fingers and my toes. So that was
thank you.
Something fun to play with.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry about the banging. We have roofers, and I was like going through different rooms in the house trying to find the most quiet place to join the call. It's not quiet.
You want to say something, Susan?
Yeah, because what you were talking about. Okay, so I started re-listening to this section of the course, and there's something, and I can't find my note on it, and I can't find it now, but they're talking about the whatever it is, modulus. What do they call it?
Yeah.
I was trying to look. What is it?
Buckle modules, Young's modules, and the the elasticity versus dynamic behavior.
Yeah, the bulk modulus.
Yeah.
Bulk modulus. And my something, my thoughts went back to, you know, the Coke can
Mhm.
that where they have this example. Okay. And there was something that they were saying that I just kept saying, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting this. I'm listening over and over. I'm looking up words. I'm whatever. Okay. There's the torsion and the buckling. And the Coke can is a good metaphor, physical example for us to look at, because the Coke can, this is in terms of the buckling, not the torsion.
Mhm.
The Coke can is using the fluid inside the can for its own structural stability, because the fluid is incompressible.
Mhm.
And because of that, as long as they can get all the air out and make it just the fluid, they can make the metal thinner, you see, than it otherwise would need to be. And that reduces weight, and that reduces, you know, it's cheaper to do, and it doesn't cost as much to ship per what you get, and all those things.
Mhm.
That is something on the outside that is interlinking peridynamically, interlinking structurally, even though the fluid and the metal don't intermix. But in terms of the behavior,
Mhm.
what allows that functional ability, and for us with our torsos, they're focusing on the torso, how are our internal organs protected, right? That whole thing going on with the skin is very important.
Mhm.
And then the torsion has to do, he says something about how that has to do with more the internal behavior,
Mhm.
the internal movement or something. Can't remember how it,
The volume.
yeah. That the protection against, I think, an undue, a torsion, which is not, I mean, we all need to be able to twist and turn, but something where it's in an unhealthy way,
Mhm.
either because it's hard fixed or it's impinging or, you know, something, that gets resolved internally. And that the buckling gets resolved externally. It was a comment, it was something like that. I was so confused, but I had to go back to the Coke can.
So,
And
sorry,
the-
Susan, I
Yes.
think you said the opposite. Torsion was resolved through the perimeter, and buckling resolved through the volume, through the content.
And what he had, he added the thing about the, first of all, we need to resolve the anti-buckling in order to address the anti-torsion. Otherwise, the torsion will be always.
Okay, so let's say it again. The anti-buckling
Mhm.
is resolved by,
Volume by the inside.
yes,
within.
that's the liquid in the Coke can.
Yes. Yes.
Because the liquid's in the can can't buckle.
Yeah.
Once the liquid's out of the can, you can just crush the can and throw it away, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes,
And if you can buckle it, obviously we can torch it.
exactly. Right. But thank you for that clarification. The thing is that because we have to use words to get to this, and you can almost inside out things, and it's still, you know, depending on how you're looking at it. Anyway, back when I was doing my master's in kinesthetic learning, there was, I can't remember who it was, but they were talking about how the hands, and you'll find this in so many practices, the hands are the external expression of the heart.
Mhm.
And that when you touch things with your hands, it comes in. So in reality, in practice, right, there is no differentiation that way between the inside and the outside,
Mhm.
or they are all part of an integrated whole.
Mhm.
which is why, I mean, I think you guys know my Tai Chi background. I can touch somebody's, and we do it with we use our Laogong, our Palace of Labor, pericardium point to connect typically to wrist and elbow. And we're listening in. We're not pushing with muscle. We're connecting. It's exactly this cycle of connection that they're talking about with the therapy, where you're grounded and you're connecting to the other person so that they are also grounded, and it's a loop of energetic dynamics. And so I just think it's so interesting that you brought up this inside outside. I think if you only focus on one, you can't get to the other. What happens in Tai Chi is, this is many years ago, and I'm with somebody and we're ready to do push hands or whatever. And I said, I could be wrong, but could you check your left hip? And the person's like, oh yeah, I was holding a lot of tension there. How did you know? I thought, well, I don't know how I know. I just know that I'm touching you very softly, and I was receiving that information, which in linear biomechanics, I could not know that, right? So think of it, it's taken me so many years, decades, to try to find these cues, you see? And so, yes, there is my outside, there is my skin, there is my inside, On the other hand, when we start to become systems with ourselves and the floor, with ourselves and the wall, with our feet and the ground, with ourselves and another person, I imagine you guys must find applications with this when you're working with clients and you're helping them move or adjust. It's just so interesting to me. So anyway, I was down that road with the torsion and the buckling and the inside and the outside, and I was going nuts with it. So I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah, thank you. Can I just say something there? Because
yeah, I'm just going to be off camera for a sec, but I'm here.
Okay. For me, the window that opened in my perception, in my realization by connecting these things, is related to the fact that I'm used to see the transmission of strength, the dynamics in the body, through lines or through stack of parts. That is exactly what I'm realizing. Although I speak in tensegrity terms sometime now, and I understand the concept, I'm actually still looking at exercises through muscles, at movement through muscles. And only recently, so very recently, I realized that, yes, and being with Leonid, it's really the everything around the muscles, the mesh that is able to control everything we do. If that is not present, we see his kids. And because we saw his kids moving and some of them improving, it is very clear. It is super clear, his explanation, and these vision that if we use only the muscles, although they are necessary, because they also, like the skin is a container also, and I can distribute to the skin, as Susan was saying, the external and internal. But the fundamental, for me, lacking part in my perception of the of how the body works is that thing that gives me super stability, that makes me more human and more functional. And I'm so emotional speaking about it, because it is the first time that I really realized almost in a tasty way what does that pre-muscular thing is all about, and well, at least a little bit. So I believe that most people are talking about these, and they have never realized really what, because I know I'm not very different from most people, and I think so. I know most people are also having this intellectual understanding of what is the pre-muscular thing, what is the control, the real control of movement in the body, but they are mistaking it with the normal preconceived ideas that we are born with and taught all our lives. I don't know.
I think you're right, and I think we do it with muscle and we do it with brain culturally, right? Instead of understanding these as adjunct later developments, and we do it with arms and legs, by the way, I think, because if you look developmentally and if you look evolutionarily, I was doing research, I don't know, a few months back. Vertebrates were swimming around for something like 100 million years before any of them popped a fin. Okay, they're just like swimming, not really worms, but sort of, you know. And that was what it was. Then the fins popped. So we're not swimming with our arms. We're swimming with our bodies. And when you swim, you realize it. I mean, Chris swims every day so she can talk more about this. It's not that we don't use our arms, but a dolphin's not using its arms to swim. A whale isn't using its arms to swim. You know, they're using their tail. They're using their whole body. The tail, which means they're using the whole system, right? And so but Nuno, we all do it. Okay. And even after studying this all these years, we were raised in a system where we all do it.
Yeah.
And there I am, and I'm trying to turn this little knob that's, you know, stuck or whatever. And I'm muscling it with there's nothing there to muscle it with. And then it's like, hang on, breathe, get your feet, get your whole body. Now it's no effort.
Yeah.
Because the effort's distributed. And so everything that I'm doing with everything I am gets focused into that place. And it feels easier. It feels like I'm not doing anything. I'm doing a lot, but it's distributed. So we're used to the loud stuff.
Yeah.
Muscles kind of loud, you know, brain loud. The whole system is much harder to tune into.
Yeah. Sorry, you just said we also do it with the arms and legs, in the sense that we put our attention there and we don't distribute in the whole body when we use them. Is that what you mean? Okay.
Right. The arms, evolutionarily, the arms came later. The legs came later. Right. So we were locomoting and we were doing things, living our lives, procreating, all these things. Critters, you know, for 100 million years, vertebrates were doing that before a fin pops out. So here we are, and we're opening a door. Look at the guys. A lot of baseball guys have been getting into biotensegrity, but they don't really quite get it yet. They're talking about how they're using their arm muscles to swing the bat. And it's like, Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're using gravity and the ground, and you have to get out of the way of the arm muscles in order for the muscles to contribute to the whole system in the way they were designed to do. They're not designed to be driving the car.
Yeah. I get it.
So I really think that, and who the hell am I to be telling an ex-professional baseball player how to swing his bat or throw a ball? On the other hand, they seem to have, I know that when we have a certain framework in our head, the carpentered environment, all that stuff, the brain is in control of the body, all of these things, when we've got that in our framework, it is very, very, very hard to move through that to another set of possibilities that operates in a very different system.
Yeah. 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 Thank you. Wow.
I think we have all of us, we deal with the problem of the reductionism way of thinking, and now we are thinking about the emergence of properties, and so the path from one line of thought to the other is so hard, it's so difficult, and of course we tend to rationalize everything and think we're with the head and not with the body. So in that way, we all fall on this bit of the muscle thinking or the rational motion, and we forget about this kind of thinking and the new thinking and approach. And I like the Susan, we talked about that regression, because Leonid approached that in some way when we were in Toledo, and it was a very special moment. And he was talking about the skin, because the skin is going to manifest all those ancient paths and strategies of motion, and all those adaptations that are available. And that was very special, and to see the kids manifesting those patterns as a strategy to survive was very, very special. And it was nice of you to share this thing about the vertebrals.
Can you say more about that? What was that, something in Toledo?
Yes.
Well, honestly, you saw the movie Matrix?
Yes, yes.
You saw that episode when Neo was plugged into the Matrix? It was almost the same. So,
And what were you seeing in Toledo?
okay, we were with Leonid. He was working with.
We were there for 5 days working with kids, seeing, and he gave us talks in the evening in his hotel. He said lobby, and we went down to the lobby, and for 2 hours he was speaking, and we were recording. So we have all the recordings. we are typing them and putting them, and then let's see if he lets us share and how he lets us share the knowledge. I think he will let us share.
That's fabulous. So when was this?
A month ago.
And
He just sends you a text that says lobby?
Yes. Half an hour in the lobby. And we did what he told us. We were most of us watching him work with kids, with the parents and the kids for hours.
You're so lucky.
He just gave us all the recordings, all the everything. He gives. He's just the most generous person that, well, you know him, so it is incredible.
Yes.
Incredible. And not finishing with new things, but Miguel was talking about when he said the regressions, about the bird pattern and the mammal pattern and the fish pattern, because he sees that in the kids' behavior when they don't have the super stability possibility for anything. The way to survive is regressing to an older phylogenetic pattern, going to the fish type or the bird pattern or the mammal pattern. And he explains that marvelously in the map, in the skin map that he's building, that is constructed.
I think I may be wrong about this. I think they don't lose their super stability, but they lose their first best constraints.
Yeah. That's it.
In other words, so there are some people who are like, oh, fix your biotensegrity. Your system is always doing that. You move to the second best constraints because you don't have access for whatever reason to the first, but it is the fact that we are super stable tensegral systems that allows that.
Going back. Yes.
I think, yeah.
Well, and isn't also that a manifestation of our super stability, the fact that these children don't have those first best constraints, or maybe even the second best constraints. And if super stability is the ability to remain stable or remain, I don't know, stable is not the right word, but even throughout these various changes, throughout the dynamicy of life, then that's me exhibiting these fish patterns or bird patterns. That's me actually doing, or not me here, but that's this body doing the best that it can to remain
survive
process,
stable, to remain alive, given the situation of the lack of those best constraints and the environment, what the environment imposes upon me.
Yeah,
that's super interesting about these patterns. Regressive patterns, I am not familiar with Leonid's work in that at all.
I think no one is.
But you are now.
Well,
it's exciting. He is a person who I don't know anybody else like him. He's always outside of the box, bringing this information in, spinning it around, and using it to, integrating it with what he already understands. And he's something else, really. He's amazing. He's
amazing.
But I do have a question for both of you, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to bring this to our movement mentors. And that is how, you've had an intensive that it'll probably take you years to integrate. What is this first step of integration into your movement practice yourself and the teaching that you're doing? What does the first step of integrating some of that knowledge look like in your practice, in your work? Or is it happening yet? Or maybe it's just overwhelming. I'm not sure, but I'm really curious to hear.
For me, it is happening. Yeah. I'm just trying to play with some of the cards that he threw to us. I don't know if I'm understanding exactly what he meant by the cards that he threw to us, but I'm trying to play with them in my practice and see how they can fit in a supposedly normal body. Because it's a completely different thing. I don't see the things that I saw in the kids. I'm trying to see the wrinkles and the things that he saw, but he said, no, it's not there. You just see the map being built while it's being built. That's why you can see that in those kids, because they are a white map at the beginning. And by the treatments and by the development, you can start seeing he is still seeing the map coming alive. He says that with the use of the vibra tools that he's using now a lot, the progression in the kids is much faster. So he is advancing a lot in the drawing in his mind of the map. of the skin, because the map is showing up much faster than before. That took like a year for some change to happen. Now it's months in those kids even. But so I'm trying to use some things in myself, and this first thing of understanding that I can distribute inside myself. I started with myself and most of my students, because that's what I do, to explore these entrance. How can I distribute something that I do, all these weights that I transport all day, and that can disturb my torso and my movement? How can I be conscious that the first inward absorption of distribution can happen in here, and then inside my collarbones, inside my girdle here. So there's a girdle there, and the spine and the neck, they just, it's as if I sink inside myself. If I tense myself here or there, or if I put my collarbone backwards or to forward or to up, there's no possibility for me to move inside myself. That's my perception. And I'm playing with it to, what I'm noticing is the release of my breathing. This is much wider in myself and my clients. I have some explanations, but maybe they are wrong. But what I see is that there is much freedom in the breath happening. There is much freedom in the neck for most of them. Some of them also told me, some of them are teachers, they speak a lot. They said, oh, I realized that I was 2 hours speaking to an audience, and I didn't got tired in my throat and my neck. And I just realized now, yes, I was 2 hours there. And for the first time, I didn't got tired. So something changed in the way they move here. Something changed, I don't know. Something is changing visually and in actual terms. But this is my first entrance to his cards.
Something you've said makes me wonder. Earlier, you were talking about, I've been seeing lines.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought then was, and are you now looking for volumes?
Yes.
And then with your description of, the freeing of the respiratory system, the widening, the broadening, makes me think that, yes, that's a way of, well, you are, whether you're, whether that's the word you're using in your head, your description is very volumetric.
Yes, I'm totally volumetric now. I'm much more volumetric than I was.
And I even noticed in myself, having listened to you give that voice, that exploration, my voice is different.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do a practice with you, but I noticed like my voice is lower right now. Yeah. I'm more just listening, changing the metaphors or the lens. Even I wasn't trying.
Mm-hmm.
It just happened, which points to the fact that we're always talking about the body being self-organizing and self-adapting and self-emerging. That it can be such a subtle thing that triggers a shift. It's very interesting. I wasn't, yeah, anyways. Now here I go up again. Because I'm thinking. Very interesting.
What did you say, Miguel? something about carrying around the weight of your head.
Nuno or Miguel?
Mhm.
Sorry, Nuno. Sorry.
What did I say? You're asking me, or?
Did you say something about carrying around the weight of your head all day? I thought maybe I misheard you.
When I said carrying the weight, that reveals my stacking thought process. But actually, what I meant was that carrying my head, because I explore things with my senses here. So
Okay.
I go there, I go here, I speak, I interact there. So this becomes a decentered place that needs a better distribution, but I'm focusing my neck to hold my head. So I localize the holding instead of allow somewhere else to the whole thing to participate.
Yeah, that full distribution. Yeah. I just wanted to check that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Miguel, do you have anything you want to add or share about how this experience with Leonid has influenced what you're exploring right now in your practice or teaching?
Yeah, well, I think it just opened or consolidated all the things we were thinking about, and I am still overwhelmed for sure, and I don't know for years probably, but the way of thinking and the way of approaching, it's mainly different, and that for me is I'm trying to transmit to my students that the focus, the way of the focusing of using the body, is very relevant and important, because that mentality of the muscling, it's always present. And the description he gave us about the managing of the vulnerabilities, not the worrying about the performance, that relates with the muscling the system to hold and not to consolidate the work in a more more perennial way, more durable, more with low loads, incrementations. It is relevant to focus on that kind of approach, because otherwise you may cue wherever you may cue. If the student is not focused in that way, he's going to use the body efficiently, but not that efficiently. And that modulation that we are trying to enhance the approach of the system, getting more volume, more best constraints, it's not achieved. It is not. So I'm trying to include this line of thinking in the teaching. So that's been my main focus. Of course, we're always watching all these details about where the wrinkles are, where the wedges are, and I think it's very, very revealing, because and if you teach it like that, the objectivity of the skin, because it's visible, it's very, very rich. It's a very rich experience, and I think the students are liking it, and I'm liking it.
Yeah. Just to say something regarding what Miguel was saying, because this is such a change in way of thinking and seeing things, seeing exercise and seeing movement, and seeing what movement is for. What are we working for? What is the purpose of our job? What are we selling? Me as a personal trainer, what am I selling? Am I selling muscles, or am I selling internal structure? Am I selling durability, or am I selling a performance, a beach body. And depending on what I'm selling, I will have different clientele. Although now, because we come from a different paradigm where we were not like everybody, but we were in the main paradigm. Most of my clients, at least, and I think Miguel's also, they are not there as we are. They are still looking for more muscle, no waving skins, no bellies, no mama, all those things that we know. And that's what they want to pay for. And we have to say, okay, I'll give you a little bit of that, but I want to enhance your health. They will all say, oh, yes, 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 but give me a butt. I want a bigger butt. Okay, yes. Okay, but think about how in a long time you will, yes, 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 but now I need to dress these trousers for the, and for me, it's sometimes it's a dilemma that I'm with getting older. I'm getting more quiet with it, because I just say, if you don't want to work with me, just search someone else, because I have more clients wanting to come to me. But I understand that some people need to compromise their practice, and I don't know, maybe it's not the same thing in yoga or Tai Chi, because people go to it in a different mindset.
Nobody comes to Tai Chi to sculpt their body.
Yes. So you have that advantage in you.
So we have that advantage. The disadvantage, there are some people who come because they think Chi is magical and they want the magic. And there are some people who come because they want to fight. And so they're interested just in fighting. And that nobody who's really interested in fighting is going to come to a girl teacher anyway, because that's just the way our culture works.
Yeah.
Which is another advantage for me, right? I mean, a guy is going to get tested. I mean, I've seen it, and it's very hard for people to believe that relaxed, dynamic, energized integration is the thing that's going to lead to improved stability and sustainability, dynamic stability. And so these people who want the dress to look great, or want the pants to look great for the party next week or in next month, or I have to squeeze into this for this event, or whatever that is, that's fine, but they also don't want to fall down and break their wrists.
Yeah.
So they really do want something that that integrated wholeness, but you can't expect yourself to be able to compete with a culture of corporeal materialism,
Yeah.
And some people are into that, right? And I'm sure, I mean, Chris, in the world of yoga, I know there are people who are like, you can't put your leg behind your head. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's a contest.
Yeah, it's performance. Yes, it's performance.
Certainly in the yoga world, different people come to it for different reasons. I know in the 90s, somebody told me, I want to look like Madonna, was why I'm here. She practiced yoga. But then there's the whole group that it's the spiritual aspect. There's the group that want to quote unquote stretch or become more flexible. And it really varies. And I believe that, well, you're in the case where you can say, you have people to fill any empty spots. But as, I use kind of these 3 questions. Am I safe? or ask them to use these 3 questions. And what do I want and what do I need? And then as professionals, obviously you're creating a safe space, but what do they want and what do they need? If you're addressing what they want or what they think they want, you by your very nature are going to give them what they need.
Mhm.
Because you're not going to teach them something based on the old paradigm, because that doesn't work for you. So
True.
perhaps what you find is over the months and the years, things will merge, and you are already becoming known for bringing this point of view to teachers and to students. And you're just, as you refine that, it's going to become more and more that way. And those who aren't interested, or maybe I should say not ready, because as we know, there are people who are not ready. What a blessing to be able to say, you can find what you want over here. And to be able to just really share what's authentic to you, and to see it come alive as we see in you. I mean, I have no doubt that this is going to be something that we get to see more and more and more of.
No. Yes. Miguel, you have something else to say?
I would say not to stay away from the TAT content, that if you don't invest in the anti-buckling stability, time is going to get you. So you need to, that's the thing. It was the first conversation we had with Leonid in the first day we arrived.
Mm-hmm.
He talked with us during dinner, and that was the first teaching. It was the investment is needed, because over the time you're going to be challenged, and if you are thinking about the performance, and if you are thinking about the muscling of the system, you're going to break some time. And with time, the muscles are going to, well, you can't rely on them because you're going to lose them anyway. Otherwise, that's the thing. That's the teaching we need to address, in my view.
Mm.
I started to make, a kind of a chart for myself. Here's the TAT model of the body as opposed to the conventional biomechanics, machine and engineering paradigm, whatever. And one part, and I can't remember where she says it, but anyway, they're talking about how, okay, in the machine model, restrictions need releasing, right? And you need this external, body wizard who can come in and fix you by releasing your restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But with this perspective, the restrictions are part of the survival strategies for the larger system, and are part of your innate body intelligence, physical intelligence. And the body saves itself when the fibroblasts are motivated, as opposed to, Marianne tells this great story, which I must have heard it 7 times before, or 8 or whatever, but it really got me this time. When she was watching the kid and they were doing the tendon cutting surgery, but she couldn't see where they were doing that. She was in the surgery room seeing the rest of the body. And when they cut that tendon, there was this whole system collapse. And she said, until I cut a string on my tensegrity, I didn't understand what I was seeing. I was.
Yeah. That's amazing, that story. Amazing.
There it is. The difference between, this isn't working, so the problem is here, the solution is here, external person comes in, the mechanic fixes it, versus give the body a chance to fix itself. The whole system is working always all together. I just, wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. It makes me think that these kind of learning, in order to be made our own in itself, each of us, we need to have our hands on. It needs to be in person. You need to see and to touch the matter that you're studying, the subject that you're studying, for those things that Mariana saw emerging can be realized, not through a tensegrity. Okay, you can perceive that when you lose one thing, everything will collapse. But when you see it and you match these with the fact that you see it in a human alive, you see, wow, now I have the model to explain what I'm seeing. It's not just a trembling or something. That's the whoa, and your mind expands. So I think the experiential thing is what is necessary for most of us to keep doing it, because it's what brings us light into this knowledge. This is a lot of things happening at the same time. So you just have to be fortunate to see one happening in your hands, or in front of your eyes, or under your hands, and then have the right word or the right map or the right metaphor enlightening what you experience under your hands or in front of your eyes. So I think the practice and the experimenting, which is what I do very cautiously with my clients and with myself, less cautiously. It's super important, because it's what brings light to these concepts for me. Good. I think we went completely out of, you have something to say, Susan?
I just want to say, so none of us is a therapist,
No,
correct?
no. Well,
And so
movement.
or maybe Miguel is, or
I'm an osteopath, but I don't do clinics or something
oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. That's great to know.
for a long time.
Yeah, that's fine, but that's that informs everything you do, I'm sure.
Yeah, in some way.
Yeah. I want to show you. Can I show a
Not in
picture?
that way. Not in that way.
Go for it, Susan.
Okay. There is a tree downtown. Okay. So there's the base of the tree.
Okay.
And look at this branch.
Wow.
How thick it is.
Yeah.
How long it goes out. How horizontal it is.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I were down there probably 15 years ago. We were taking care of the kids of some friends. These kids are now, one of them's in college and one is almost on his way. And they were sitting on the tree, and a bunch of other kids were sitting on that horizontal branch. And the parents were running a road race. And people are like, oh no, don't sit on it. You'll break the branch. Well, think of the millions of people that come to DC. This is right between the Washington Monument, which you can kind of see a little, I think, on the side, and where the cherry blossoms are. And there are actually cherry blossoms all around. There's millions of people, kids are sitting on that tree all the time, all these years. That branch is fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but when we look at it and we don't understand biotensegrity, we think you need to prop it up, you need to put a wire from the main trunk.
Yeah.
Don't let the kids sit on it. It will break. It's absolutely, look how thick it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's the thickness of the upright trunk.
Yeah.
How do you explain that if you don't have an awareness of the root under the ground, an awareness of the whole system, an awareness of how something can be heavy, like an arm, but you can hold it out
Yeah.
and be fine for a long period of time. You muscle it to hold it out. Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that for very long.
Yeah.
If you integrate it up through the fingertips, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
So I love that you guys are doing this, and I'm so grateful to be learning with you.
Thank you for showing up. We hope you show up again as you, Chris, because you are helping us a lot
What?
to explore our thoughts and to keep going. We will keep going anyway, but it helps a lot, really. Thank you. And I think we if you don't have anything else to say, we just got the hour, and we will finish it for now. Is it okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good. So I'm gonna stop recording.